Welcome back to our listener experiences rendition of the Holosky Podcast. It's Thursday, Holocult, and we're your hosts. I'm Steven.
And Kyle.
And we're glad to be hanging out with you on this almost end of the week episode.
It definitely needs to be Friday.
Yeah, hopefully this kind of gives you a little nudge, that final little push to get you through Friday, because everybody knows that Friday's the new Monday. Because you got to get through Friday to get to the weekend.
That's right.
That being said, this is our listener experiences show. We've got another one ready to rock and roll. But first, we got to get through some of the business. So check us out at all your socials. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, X, TikTok, Reddit, Discord. Search up the Holosky Podcast and you'll find us there. You can join us at all podcast platforms on Mondays for our regular show, where me and Kyle dive into different topics on the strange, the weird, the Fortean, the mysterious, the conspiracious, which isn't a word, but it is now. Tuesday drops the audio version of our call-in show, The Night Shift. Check us out there. Wednesday is the actual live version of the show that will drop the following week on YouTube. Hang out with us there. That leads you back to Thursdays, where your listener experiences hang out. So if you have an experience you'd like to share with the class, Kyle's got some info.
You can write your story out. Send it over to the email, which is going to be holoskypodcast@gmail.com. You can call or text the holophone, which is going to be 618-556-0837. You can reach out on the socials. You can record yourself, shoot it over. The best way to do it, honestly, is to write it out and put it in the email, because it's easier for us to log it. And those typically get remembered. They get flagged, all that stuff. So the email is definitely your best option.
The best option.
Yeah.
All right. So today's listener experience, it's not too long. But we're going to jump right into it. It comes to us from our friend Clayton. Clayton titles this, "Why I Won't Mess with a Ouija Board at Home."
Ruh-roh.
Let's go. Clayton says, "Hey, Steve and Kyle. As you can tell with the subject line, this is about a Ouija board and an incident I had at home. It may not be as frightening as some other incidents out there, but still frightening to me nonetheless. About a year or so ago, I ended up getting a Ouija board. While the thought of having the board intrigued me, but I never thought something real would come about using it. Well, let's just say I wanted it for the giggles. I've never really learned the true etiquette of the board. I've watched some YouTube channels that have used one, and they've stated starting the planchette by rotating it counterclockwise. Please note this for what some say is a coincidence later on. For the longest, whenever I brought it out, I've done it by myself because my wife wanted nothing to do with it, and nothing came about it. I've also have an app on my phone called Spirit Talker, which is supposed to be like an Ovilus. I've had some intelligent responses in the past, so I use it every now and then. Well, my wife finally decided that she'll do the board with me. I got the board set up and a few candles and fired up the Spirit Talker app. Nothing popped up on the app yet, and we started the process of the board. As soon as we started moving the planchette, the phrase, "You're doing it wrong," pops up on the app. Coincidence? I've asked a few questions and nothing on either until I ask, "Do you have ill intentions?" And the planchette moves to yes. My wife swore it was me moving it, and I thought the same for her. After we both realized we weren't effing with each other, she wanted to end it there. So I called out that you do not have permission to cause any harm to ourselves or our property, and it went goodbye. Well, I put everything away and went to bed. That night was pretty uneventful until about 8:25 the following morning. I felt a hand grab my right foot and give it one good up and down shake. I quickly opened my eyes in the direction of my feet to see what my wife wanted, only to realize that no one was at my feet, and my wife was still curled up by the wall. I've never been touched again since then at my home. But recently my wife said that she had the same thing happen to her foot when she was asleep. I've had a few other paranormal incidents happen before, but nothing here at this place that I may share later on. I guess let me know y'all's thoughts on it, share it, or do whatever. Have a good one from Kentucky, Clayton. Clayton, brother, friend, thank you for taking the time to write in your Ouija board experience. First off, I messed around a little bit with the Ouija board, but nothing that I would say would be to the extent of like learning proper Ouija etiquette. It was just kids screwing around. But the fact that you had two different, I guess, devices, for lack of a better term, communication devices that were almost in tandem working together is pretty telling. Especially when it's almost not commanding you, but instructing you on how to use the other one. It's
gross.
Pretty weird, brother.
It's definitely it's definitely strange. I would classify your encounter as nothing less than terrifying. So don't downplay it, because I don't know. I don't know much about the ghost realm, but I feel like the more an entity is capable of doing, the more powerful it most likely is, because you always hear about spirits having to draw power to do things. The fact that it's manipulating two different devices at the same time is pretty crazy to me. Furthermore, it's even strange. It's weird that it was that honest, because you ask it if it was malicious and it goes, yep. Yeah. And you're like, okay, so you need to leave. Like, you're not welcome here. And it just goes, goodbye. Like, okay, you're not down for the weird shit, the hardcore stuff. I'm out.
Or it's like, you already opened the door, bud.
Yeah.
I'm already in.
Right.
We ain't got to talk about it anymore.
But it would make sense to me that most of us are probably using Ouija boards wrong. Because back then, when a lot of these things are created or unlocked or whatever you want to label that as, most things had a ritual first, right? Like when, Crowley talked to his crazies, like he would do rituals sometimes lasting months in order to complete them. So it totally makes sense that there would be some type of ritual prior to the use of these devices. And maybe it was conning you into the turn this bitch clockwise, like opening a door and let me come through. I don't know.
Yeah, it's almost like the digital aspect, the Ovilus or the app on your phone, was just a legitimate communication device, and it wanted you to use the board correctly.
Yeah.
So it could get itself through.
Right.
Like, why else would it even critique the way you're doing it? You know what I mean? Like, it specifically wanted you to use that board correctly.
And I feel like electronic devices like that, your app there, I mean, I don't know the validity of them, if they're real or not, but I feel like those types of devices, per the lore, would be easier for things to manipulate versus the spirit board itself, because the electronic device has power, and you hear about spirits draining batteries and whatnot to draw that power. So maybe it's pretty easy for them to manipulate devices like that because the power source is already there. They don't have to rely on draining it from wherever else they need to do that. But if you really think about it and remove the word ghost from that, like it sounds like it almost sounds like a ritual practice. Like somebody needs, it's almost like magic that needs power first. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's why rituals make sense. I don't know.
Like a spell, for example.
Yeah.
You need this many ingredients for this to take place.
Right. Especially with like them being able to move stuff and all that jazz. Like it makes sense to me.
On the flip side of that, it makes you wonder where they drew their power from before electricity.
For sure.
If it fed off
For
like
sure.
our essence or our whatever you call it.
Well, if
I
you
know
look at
there's
it
a
from
word
the
for
world of
it.
magic, it could be a lot of things. It could be on your intentional outcome, I guess could say. So are you a good one or a bad one? If I'm a bad one, I can draw on your essence, your soul.
Yeah.
If I'm good, maybe I'll draw from the nature or the earth or the electrons in the atmosphere, whatever the fuck they do, whatever Merlin would do. I don't know. But it's very interesting. And because a lot of, I don't know. Because you hear stories of spirits being able, you don't, do you really? Yeah, you do. You hear a lot of spirits being able to manipulate like drawers and cabinets and things like that.
Yeah.
Which I feel like that would be the harder to do than just make noises.
I mean, look at
So
look at Hellfire. They still can't figure out where all the fucking electricity was going from that.
Yeah, that's true.
That thing was eating 5 times worth what a family of 4 or 5 uses.
Right.
Which is insanity.
That's
It is
big
crazy. Power.
Yeah.
And on that note, they also are putting out Ouija board apps where they're almost like combining the best of both worlds, They're putting the power of a Ouija board into one person's hand, but also almost powering it.
Right.
And who's to say that like the digital world, like microchips and everything aren't just as powerful of doorways as say mirrors or say, I don't know. Like it's almost like the phones specifically, the internet specifically, electricity specifically, are almost their own portals.
Essentially, they probably are.
You know what I mean? Because me and you...
Wasn't there... I seen articles that motherboards are kind of halfway designed around something. I can't remember what it was.
Some of them look like the pyramids and shit. Like the same layout. I've seen them compared.
Yeah.
I don't know how legitimate that is, but it is almost... If put us back, say 200 years ago. If I said I have this device that I'm able to talk to Kyle, who lives 12 miles away from me, talk to him instantaneously. I can use this device. I can see Kyle automatically. That would be the craziest form of magic and witchcraft, for lack of a better term. I know I'm not using it in the right context here. Of the time. If you brought someone back or brought someone to this period and tried to show them that, or take a phone back then and show them, take a picture of someone. Just hold your phone up and take a picture of someone back then and show it to them. They would lose their fucking mind.
Yeah. I mean, it's still, honestly, for me, I'm a simpleton. It's still kind of weird to me today. Because like, even if there is the process of my text gets punched into the phone, I hit send, it goes up to a satellite, and then gets relayed down to Steve's phone like that. It's still fucking weird to me because, like, that the space in between my phone and satellite, there's nothing physically connecting that. So it just kind of like goes to the ether and does its thing. It's weird, right? Like, because those are things that you cannot see, but they obviously exist. So it's definitely strange. It's a strange process for people these days to wrap their brains around. Most people just settle with it works. And why does it work? I don't know. It just does. Okay, that's more than enough explanation to me. I'm just mad when it goes out.
Same.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I'm also curious as to if anything else had happened in your house paranormally, like you said, you had your foot picked up, shaken. If anything happened prior to the Ouija board incident.
By the way, that would freak me the fuck out.
Yeah.
Somebody grabs my leg. Because you've also heard stories like that where the person gets drug out of bed.
Yeah.
which, could you imagine? Put yourself in that position. Being drug out by a force that you can't see.
Oh, he already said, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was looking back through the email. I've had a few other paranormal incidents happen, but nothing here at this place. So he answered my question prior to asking it.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I wouldn't say that. I mean, of course, it's not you're spawning hell demons in your living room, but still a terrifying encounter to say the least.
Oh yeah, you never know if you do open one of those doors, you never know what comes through. That's the risk you take in using these kind of devices, and whether it be a Ouija board or a ghost box or a pendulum, anything. It's the risk that you take in using them. You never know what is listening and waiting to answer back. You know, you want to go have a conversation with your loved one. You could have something absolutely unimaginable on the other end of that, pretending to be your loved one.
You know, my brain's kind of going now.
Let's roll it.
Wouldn't you say, like, theoretically, because you say we don't know what's coming through that board. Theoretically, shouldn't there be a way that we could possibly see what is coming through that board? Because there's different spectrums of light, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, essentially, what are the odds that, like, there's legitimately, like, even radio waves? Shouldn't there almost, like, be a way that you can see that? Like
I mean, in theory, there should be.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
yeah.
I'm not saying we have the capability currently, but the way my brain's trying to process it is like, I mean, technically, there should be a spectrum that it is existing in.
Yeah, if it's some kind of energy, there should be a way to measure that energy.
Yeah, because you could say, like, oh, there's a microscopic thing right here that is going to give you herpes. And you're like, no.
That's a different kind of game you're playing in a Ouija board.
It's like, no, there's not, because I can't see it. And then come to find out, you use a special device and, well, you can see it now. And you're like, oh, shit, there is actually something right there. Like, that's fucking weird, right? So what if we were able to access, I bet that would be a game changer. If you could access these different spectrums all the way across the board, almost like tuning your car stereo.
Yeah. It's almost like the goggles that Museum of Tarot uses.
Yes. That's kind of what gave me the idea. But how fucked would that be? You sitting there playing on your Ouija board and like it starts moving and you're like, oh yeah, the goggles. And you put the goggles on and you like literally see something right there.
Yeah, I'd say no.
Dude, that would be fucking weird.
I'd say no, I'm good.
That's kind of where I'm at. Or like imagine how.
Or if you put on the fucking goggles and every one of your pieces of electronics is just constantly moving these beings back and forth between everyone. Oh
yeah, I mean, that's what I was kind of getting there. That imagine the mind break that could happen with people if they put them on, and there's just like not, it wouldn't be like room filling, but imagine like almost everywhere you go, you're seeing things or people or humanoids or whatever that aren't actually there, but they are there.
Sixth sense.
Imagine how fucking, like, because I feel like an average person, it would probably start to crack their psyche.
Yeah.
Like thinking like you're walking through the store and you don't have your goggles on, but you know there are things, there are creatures, there whatever within 3 feet of you at all times.
That's the whole route I go with the human consciousness being our defense mechanism.
Could be.
I think they're I'm almost 100% sure that there are these beings around us consistently, whether they be from the spiritual realm, interdimensional realm, wherever. They're around us all the time. But us as humans are, I feel like mentally we're exceptionally fragile to where when these things, not necessarily like when it comes to, I mean, I guess even when it comes to like our day-to-day stress, like people crack from stress all the time, but these things are constantly around us. And there was something wired, whether it be on purpose or on accident, to where we cannot interact with these things, see these things, hear these things consistently all the time. I think when we do see them, it's kind of a slip in the armor, a slip in the defense. Like you see something out of the corner of your eye, or you hear something that's not supposed to be there. It's either
which means your defenses can be cracked and broken.
That, or it's these things happen as a reminder to us. Hey, there's shit beyond this realm that we don't know about. You know, don't forget, don't get on such a pedestal that you think you're top of the food chain, because you're not. You know, like if there's things out there that can freely move about, do whatever they want, like that, for example, knocking down whatever the hell is outside the door, that they can just do whatever they want without us even consciously knowing. Like that's a pretty big step ahead.
Yeah. Well, then it would further make me ask the question. Well, then is sight special? Like in regards of if I don't see these things all the time, then like we can't interact with them. But what happens when we do see them? Does that make some type of connection that allows it? Or are we essentially two specters looking at each other that see each other now, but we can't interact? Like there, a lot of questions kind of drive from that.
Maybe they see us all the time.
Maybe, or maybe neither of us acknowledge each other. We are specters to each other.
Yeah.
To where if we saw them, maybe we would be the ghosts in their world, essentially. You know, I don't know.
Just bleed back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird, man.
Weird. But, yeah. Yeah.
It's weird to think that, like, we could be somebody's ghost right now. Like, if dimensions were slipping.
We wouldn't even know it.
No. Wouldn't have a clue. But if somebody, like, I saw two guys sitting in chairs, or sitting in my chairs.
Or heard us.
Yeah.
Heard us talking about.
Yeah, and if we spoke a different language, it would be like some of the reports that you hear.
Yeah.
From, like, I heard these strange voices.
Or if we spoke the same language, we'd be like, I just heard a voice coming from the spare room talking about spiritual herpes.
Yeah. I don't know what the fuck's going on in there.
Their realm is different. Oh, man. We went on a tangent there, but that's what we're here for. So, let us know your thoughts.
Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts on the Ouija boards. And, I mean, I know we talked about it before, but getting into the digital aspect of it, with the advancements of technology and stuff, how do you feel, Holocult? And if anyone has gotten spiritual or digital diseases, also let us know, because that's I feel like that's a different show that we can talk about. But again, Clayton, thanks so much for sending in your experience. Definitely send in your other ones that you had talked about. We're all here for it. And until we meet again, Holocult, stay safe, stay weird, and learn proper Ouija etiquette before you start messing around. Even if you have to get it from the spiritual realm, learn your proper Ouija etiquette.